Welcome to the Whole 9 Yards. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Week 1 edition of the Whole 9 Yards. I'm Ralph Ventre, and I'm here to get you ready for Week 1 of Northeast Conference football. Football is finally back. A new season is finally here. All 7 NEC teams take to the gridiron in Week 1. Let's get right to the action with our No Huddle preview. 2 NEC teams will kick off the season on Thursday night, August 28th. First, we'll take a look at Bryant's matchup at CAA member Stony Brook. This will be one of 2 games that the Bulldogs will play against a CAA opponent this year. The Bulldogs and Seawolves, they're not strangers. In fact, these 2 teams met at the very same venue last fall. It was Stony Brook prevailing in a tight one, 21-13. Both teams will start brand new quarterbacks on Thursday night, so don't be surprised if each team relies heavily on its run game to kick it off Thursday night under the lights at Laval Stadium in Stony Brook. Robert Morris will be the first NEC team to kick off the season at home. The Colonials will be under the lights at Joe Walton Stadium Thursday night against OVC member Eastern Kentucky. This will be a rematch of the 2013 season opener. The Colonials will hope that the change in venue yields a different result as they fell 38-6 to EKU last season. But it's not only a new day, it's a new era in Robert Morris football as head coach John Banaszak takes over for the legendary Joe Walton. Here's what preseason All-NEC cornerback Antoine Eddy had to say about Banny Ball.
Banny Ball, first off, I can say it's been different. Walton was a great coach, but Banaszak has changed the program tremendously so far. So we have a lot under our sleeves for the first game, and we have a lot of tricks that we're ready to display.
And now looking ahead to Saturday's slate. 5 NEC teams are in action Saturday, August 30th. We'll start with Duquesne. The Dukes, who tied for the Northeast Conference crown last year but lost out to Sacred Heart on the playoff bid due to a tiebreaker, will make history on Saturday. They will play an FBS opponent for the first time in program history. The Dukes travel up to Buffalo to play the University at Buffalo Bulls. The good news for the Dukes is they're taking a step up in class, but they won't have to worry about Buffalo's Khalil Mack because he's already moved on to the NFL. If the Dukes are to pull an upset in this one, look for sophomore quarterback Dylan Beekle to have a big day up in the Below. There are 2 NEC versus Patriot League matchups on Saturday's slate. We'll start with St. Francis U, which will travel to the Bronx to take on Fordham, a program with national championship aspirations. St. Francis U will certainly have its hands full in what's a rematch of last year's meeting in Loretto. Ultimately, St. Francis came up short last year, but they did show that you can run the ball on Fordham. Kyle Harbridge went for 291 yards in last year's defeat. Harbridge is gone, but some key pieces on that St. Francis offensive line are back, and Kyrie Dixon has experience carrying the football in big games. Let's see if St. Francis can grind out a Week 1 shocker in the Bronx. Next, it's Wagner against Georgetown. These 2 teams will meet for the 5th year running. Last year, the Seahawks prevailed 28-21 on Staten Island and needed a defensive touchdown from D'Angelo James to do so. James is back along with 6 other starters on defense. Wagner is also experienced up front on offense as 4 offensive linemen return for Wagner. We'll look for this one to be a ground and pound type affair down in D.C. 2 more games remaining. First, we'll take a look at Central Connecticut, which is headed down to Towson to open up the Peter Rosamondo era. Raimondo takes the reins of the Blue Devils program and has a tall task in Week 1, leading his team up against the 2013 national runner-up.
You have to, you got to play to your strengths. I mean, we got Rob Holloman. He's getting the ball, so no secret to that.
The Blue Devils' chances of an upset will only increase if Rob Holloman, a preseason All-American, is able to break a few big ones. Holloman had 2,270 all-purpose yards last season as a junior, the second most in NEC single-season history. We'll see if the Blue Devils will be able to turn Holloman loose against the Tigers Saturday night. And our final matchup features the preseason favorite Sacred Heart Pioneers. Sacred Heart will host Pioneer League member Marist. This will be the third time in 4 years that Sacred Heart and Marist meet on opening weekend. The Pioneers returned 18 starters from the team that handed Marist a 37-21 loss last season. Head coach Mark Nofri, however, knows it's a new year and there are new expectations for the Pioneers.
We talked about it. I said, last year we were coming into camp, we talked about, us being picked 7th. And, preseason polls and preseason teams are just speculation. Don't focus on the things. It all counts at the end of the season in November.
So there you have it. All 7 NEC teams in action Week 1. 2 on Thursday, 5 on Saturday. Kickoff 2014 is finally here. Now let's take a Twitter timeout. In this weekly segment, we'll feature an NEC football-related tweet. This week's featured tweet comes to us from @FCS Scout. Sean, our FCS Scout, reminds us that there's a lot more to playing running back than just running the football. Sean took to Twitter to let everyone know how impressed he was with the pass-blocking ability of former Wagner running back Dominique Williams. Williams, the 4th all-time leading rusher in NEC history, is in training camp with the NFL's Minnesota Vikings. In Week 2 of the preseason, the Vikings won on a late-game touchdown pass by Teddy Bridgewater. As FCS Scout pointed out, that pass was made possible by Dominique Williams' blitz pickup. And now it's time for the final segment of our show, X's and O's. This is where we feature one NEC player on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. First, let's take a look at Central Connecticut State running back Rob Holloman. We talked about Holloman earlier on today's show. Obviously, he'll be a key for the Blue Devils if they want to shock the world and knock off Towson in Week 1. Holloman has plenty of big play potential and has performed against prime competition in the past. He's a transfer from FBS member Kent State, and last year, which was his second season in the NEC, he won the NCAA FCS Statistical Championship for all-purpose yardage, averaging more than 189 all-purpose yards per game. We'll see if Holloman can pick up right where he left off when the Blue Devils visit Towson to kick off the Pete Raimondo era. Our featured playmaker on the defensive side of the ball is Robert Morris cornerback Antoine Eddy. Eddy has preseason All-NEC credentials at both defensive back and punt returner. He's coming off a junior campaign where he logged 6 pass breakups and intercepted 3 more. He ranked 3rd in FCS in punt return yardage, averaging 15 yards per return. Needless to say, he's excited to get the season started.
Camp came around and now I'm super excited. The team's super excited, so it's just making me even more excited.
Remember, we're going to do this every week of the season here at NEC Front Row, so be sure to catch us again next week. But before then, you can watch 2 NEC football games free of charge this weekend right here at necfrontrow.com. It's Robert Morris against Eastern Kentucky on Thursday night, and then Sacred Heart against Marist on Saturday evening. Watch them both live, free of charge, on NEC Front Row. This was your Week 1 edition of the Whole 9 Yards. I'm Ralph Ventre. We'll see you again next week.